Welcome to the Forgotten ECE, the show where before and after school educators, summer camp and PD staff and CYWs have a place where they are seen, heard, and valued. I'm your host, Jamie Wegler, and I am so excited you're here. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Forgotten ECE. I'm your host, Jamie, and I am here with an exciting guest of honor. I'm joined by Cody Topp, owner of TOPP KIDS in Alberta, chair of the School Age Care Directors Association, and a leading voice in shaping school age care across Canada. Cody has spent years not only building and leading programs, but also advocating for stronger systems, clearer identity, and better outcomes for children and educators. In this episode, we're unpacking what school age care is really about, why it still struggles to find its place in the broader ECE conversation, and what needs to change if we're serious about moving forward in this field. Thank you so much for being here, Cody.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. It's so funny, listeners. I found Cody on a fluke on LinkedIn. Thank goodness for LinkedIn. And he is doing wonderful, wonderful things with the school age people in Alberta. And I'm super excited to have found you.
It was just one of those destined connections.
It is. Fighting the good fight, right?
That's so true. That's so true. Well, and you have such a great voice, right? And you're out there for the sector, and I really appreciate that. So
thank you. Likewise, right? They need people like us fighting for them. Cody, can you share a little bit about your journey into early child education and what led you to focus on school age care?
Yeah, kind of funny, actually. I was not part of the sector originally. My mom, she started our company, so it is a family company. She was an educator for 30 plus years, finally opened up one of her own before and after school programs because she did not like what was out there. She was really upset with the quality that she saw, and she's like, you know what? We can do this. We can do this better. She and my brother opened it up, and unfortunately, about a year and a half, 2 years in, she was diagnosed with lupus. Mm-hmm. So I had done a lot of management and corporate training and whatnot outside of the sector. Grew up in childcare too, by the way. School age programs were an important part of when I was growing up. But I came in to help her out, and I thought what was going to be temporary has now been probably just over 15-ish years doing this. But essentially, what really hooked me is when I got to the program and I saw the impact. I think it was what families were going through, the kids that needed the support, and the opportunities that we had to be able to show them this really great, cool stuff and help them kind of grow. That's what hooked me. So, we kind of evolved, right? We started with one program. We had, it was 6 kiddos. It was so tiny. We grew that to 60 within a year. We got invited to more schools. Every year we've had the opportunity to open up new programs. And then for me, my personal growth journey through education is I went and I did my ECE, right? I did my levels. I focused on building connections. And really what I wanted to see is what was out there. Why were we going to be better than what's out there? What's great? What kind of opportunities can we bring to kids? And I think what I found is there's a lacking of connectivity in the system.
Yes.
And that was one of my drivers. I think I found SACDA, which was around for a couple of years before me, got voluntold to be, I think, treasurer originally. And really kind of found an advocacy voice with the meeting with the government and different organizations. So my journey has really been about how do we create the best possible programs for those kiddos and give them those opportunities? And then how can we also get government and other associations to be able to recognize school age care and really see the benefit to what we're doing and the investment. And, I'll be passionate all day about it.
No, and that is so incredible. And that is so incredible because it's true. First of all, there's programs out there. We know that there's programs out there. But unless it's people running it who actually care, unless they have that relationship focus, it's not going to go anywhere because these kids aren't just stepping stones. And I mean, this is why I started the Forgotten ECE. These kids mean something to the world. They are important people in the world, and they need to be taken care of just as if they were preschool or toddler or infant, that they need that special place and those people to say, hey, you matter and I'm here for you.
And what's really great is if you break down the child that's in our care full time before and after school, you do the PD days and stuff like that, they're spending more hours with us than they are in the education system. So
Yes.
knowing that impact that you can kind of create as an educator, as a team on that kiddo, sometimes our programs are the safest place for them in their
Yes.
lives, right? So there's a lot of connection and relationship building there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't really speak to the Alberta school system, but I know here we're in Ontario, we're pretty outdated also. So this gives them the opportunity to learn things that they might not learn through the school system because we have options of hands-on learning. We have options of learning through play. And we really feed to the different types of learning that children have. It's not just here, sit at a desk and I'm going to lecture you.
Well, I love the creativity that's in our sector, right? Because
Mhm.
that's just it. It's not just education focused. Now you can measure a lot of our outcomes through education and whatnot,
Mhm.
and the impact that we have on the student. But the things that we get to do that the schools have barriers to be able to complete, right? Whether it's field trips, it's coding and robotics, like all sorts of different opportunities. We teach, but we teach something different, and it's
Yes.
learning through play, right? But the impact is there. Social, emotional, the whole nines. What they get from programs after they leave and they age out is they have a better understanding of who they are as a person,
Yes.
and better understanding of community and citizenship. And there's just so much that they can pick up on. And
Yeah, 100%. And then throw in empathy and compassion on top of that. And you have this whole child outlook that educators in school age programs are so good at finding and bringing out of their shell than just brushing over. Amazing. So why do you think school age care still struggles to have a clear identity in our sector?
the $1 million question. We sit between systems is really what it is,
Yes.
right? So, I was doing some advocacy work today with the ministry, and we finally got to sit down at a table with education, with childcare, with infrastructure. Who was missing was school boards and
Mm-hmm.
municipalities. But because we fit into so many different little boxes, we don't fit in any solely. We're siloed,
Yes.
essentially. You look at what's happening with the 0 to 5 in Canada, and it's amazing, right? There's lots of really great work that's happening there, but kids don't stop growing at 5 years old,
That's
right?
right.
They need a safe place to be able to continue to develop. And the system that they've developed for the 0 to 5s, well, they're aging out. They're going to
Yes.
school, and now they're with us, right? So we need to make sure that there's support on either side. But I think one of the other things that we really struggle with is our own identity. I think that because we're so siloed, a lot of organizations are siloed themselves and they don't connect. And there's not a lot of connectivity across Canada, even. SACDA, we've managed to be able to connect a lot of the school age programs across Alberta. We have a very large group. But then I look at BC and Saskatchewan and other provinces, and there aren't many organizations like us at all that are
Mm-mm.
strictly school age. A lot of Saskatchewan doesn't even have licensing for school age.
Oh,
I know.
that hurts my heart.
And that's just it. Like we're not going to move the dial until we
Mhm.
become connected and we have shared voices. And a lot of those voices are still the same voices that are in 0 to 5, but we're not advocating for school age specifically. So I think that's kind of one of the biggest struggles is if we're not loud and we're not out there and we don't solidify exactly how proud we are to be ECEs and the impact that we make, then we should be shouting that's from the rooftops, right?
I agree. Yep.
It's we need to be able to kind of create that collective voice, and that's the only thing that's going to move.
You're so right. And yeah, as you talk about it, like we don't have a school age association here either. We have the
Yep.
ACO and they do a really good job of advocating for educators in Ontario. But again, the focus is mostly on ECEs. And then you have Ontario College of Teachers and then Ontario College of ECEs. And you're right, we're somewhere in the middle. We are ECEs, we got our ECE degree, but we're not in preschool and we're not in kindergarten. We're in this.
And there's a
Go ahead,
lack
sorry.
of PD, and there's a lack of
Yes. Yes.
professional development and understanding. A lot of people come into the sector. A lot of younger people come into school age, particularly,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're not fed things that are going to keep them in school age, then we're going to constantly have this roundabout of educators leaving the sector or leaving to a different part of the sector, right? Again, there's no identity or that proud feeling of being that school age educator because there's no supports there. So that's what we need,
Yes.
right? Is we need that
Absolutely.
PD, we need that recognition. And I think if governments were to kind of hear us, it's invest in school age because kids they don't stop growing. They're still here. Families
Mm-hmm.
still need care. Parents still need care. You want them in the
Mm-hmm.
workforce? School age typically is where that's.
Yes, it impacts the economy so much. And then now, oh my goodness, she said so many things. Right now with Sewell, with the national-wide $10 a day childcare, like you said, it stops after children turn 5 or 6. And then what? All of a sudden, parents are paying more than they used to pay for infant care for a full day for 3 or 6 hours a day, which is insane. And then we're supposed to tell them how important it is. So what are families doing? If they can't afford it, they're keeping their kids at home, or they're working from home while trying to balance the kids, and that's not quality care for children.
No, and that's just it. And you're right, that is sticker shock, and it's a barrier for a lot of families, right? For those that could afford the care before, all of a sudden it's unattainable, and now you create latchkey opportunities for these kids. They're home, they're focusing on, we look at the crazy rates of depression and things that kids are going through now. Well, guess what? They're sitting at home and they're on their computers and they're gaming or their social media, and they're not in a community of peers, right? They don't have positive outside adult role models. We solve all these problems, right? Just having programs, but accessibility is now the problem because we're at a whole different tier. A lot of programs have to charge to be able to cover those costs because there is no funding. Right?
Yes. Yeah, and these costs are still not covering high quality educators. They're still not covering the training for our educators. And now, the government has this workforce money coming in. This PD is, like you said, it's not geared towards school age educators. So now our school age educators who don't have an identity are sitting through professional development that gears to preschool with the odd comment going, oh, this would work for school age too.
Well, and that's just it. And organizations like SACDA, we see that, right? Like that's what we're doing right now is we're trying to develop a quality standard tool for school age, right? If not for Alberta, for Canada, because it's not there. I think the last time a textbook was written for school age that's being used in post-secondary is 14 plus years old, and they're not looking at writing another one. So
I know, yes.
This content's going to get lost if it's not used or if it's not pushed, right? So, and then again, it's finding the right people to do those PDs, right? People that understand that's not just coming from that 0 to 5 lens.
Yeah. Like, oh, I've spoken for a preschool before. It's easy. I can speak for school age. It's like, it's a whole different, you're dealing with hormones. You're dealing with peer pressure. You're dealing with all of these things that your preschoolers haven't yet dealt with. And you need specialized educators to talk about that. And then you're right. The textbooks, it blows my mind. I teach part-time at college now. And I remember going to college and I was so excited to take the school age course and work with the school agers. And then I had a school age placement. Well, now they don't even offer a school age placement. It goes straight to a school placement. And there's literally no course on school age. It's like, good luck.
Well, and it's funny because the education's also there because a lot of this is what education and schools have been starting to learn about, like the social emotional literacy and all these pieces. So it's not like it doesn't exist, right? It's just, it doesn't exist in our childcare frame. But if we can connect education, if we connect childcare, because we are really kind of that middle piece, and we make that a nice little circle between home education and care, that connective tissue, it's sharing funding and sharing people that would probably cost the government less if they really kind of put it all together. Funding key systems. But yeah, that's just it. These kids have different needs than the 0 to 5s. And there needs to be specialized training exactly for that.
Yeah. And people who are happy to be there, not just using it as a stepping stone. But I agree. I think that would be solved if we found this personal identity, the professional identity, for the school age educators.
Well, it's going to bring up so many more people that are more confident about what they provide to be able to help teach others, right? And that's kind of how you grow it organically.
Absolutely. So you talked a lot about the School Age Association in Alberta. Now, Ontario, like I said, doesn't have anything like that. Knowing what you know about Ontario and Alberta, whatever that may be, do you think Ontario could learn? Like, what do you think Ontario could learn from Alberta or any province? Like you talked about this national foundation for school age, like what that looks like.
Well, Alberta does some really great things and Ontario does some really great things. And we got provinces that are really, some like the coastal provinces are focusing on school age, right? Which is, but nobody's got it perfect yet. And I think there's gaps and barriers in every single place, right? What's great about Alberta specifically right now is room for innovation. We have a lot of organizations that, yes, we kind of have a curriculum framework that's kind of come into the province that a lot of people have tied to, and it's fantastic. But there's also a lot of organizations that are, STEM focused, or they have different influences. And that's what's kind of cool about school age is get creative with it, right? It's based on what the kids want to be able to grow and do. So that innovation is helpful. I know in Alberta, kind of being the strange duck that it is, we have more private organizations than we have nonprofit. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, that's terrible. You shouldn't make money off of childcare," like that kind of. But I'm telling you right now, from the perspective that I'm sitting at, I've met some really amazing private organizations, and I've met some really amazing nonprofits, and they operate pretty much the same. It's who's at the helm and what their definition of quality is, because there's also really not so great on either side, right? And I think with that comes the conversation of maybe we need to split up the idea of what private is.
Yes.
Right? There's community based, and then there's large corporate structure. And I think they get lumped together, and I think that's kind of hard. But with Alberta specifically, that blend, and it is kind of more of a market blend, it creates competition. And sometimes that's a great thing because it drives innovation, right? And then sometimes it's not, because it creates unfair on certain settles. So, and I know with Ontario, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lot more nonprofit, right? Like
there is a lot more.
You see that in like Manitoba, very, very little private anything. It's looked at like private schools, right? So what I love about Ontario and what I understand about the province there is the college, the RECE program. Because man, I wish we had that here in Alberta, right? We have 3 levels. It's the ECE 1, 2, and 3, right? Depending on the amount of education that you have. Your 1 is a 50-hour online course, entry level, and 73%, I think, of our province is entry level, level 1, and then the rest are level 2. What really is interesting about Alberta, though, is once you have your level, that's it. You got it forever. You don't have to do X amount of PD to be able to maintain it.
Really?
You don't have to renew it, right? So in Ontario, very different system, right? There's a college. There's requirements for, and I really do believe that's a better system for it. Professionalizes a lot faster than what we see in Alberta right now. So, that's definitely some of the things. But I also think Ontario has a different definition of what school age care is, or after school programs, than just the care focus in Alberta, right? From what I understand, a lot of Ontario also has supplementary like classes, like you do Taekwondo and things like that, and those are considered after school as well. So it's a solid definition is needed.
Yes, I agree.
Canada, to be able to really kind of standardize things, but I think both have really strong pieces and both have gaps. Again, it comes down to the education of the people that are advocating in each province.
You're 100% right. Oh my goodness. I think that's what we do. I think we need this definition that explains what after school and before school education is. But then also, I agree with you completely. I think that, again, there's so many things you said, but you just keep saying the most amazing things. So yes, it's just so nice.
Like my day-to-day here.
It's just so nice to talk to someone that's like as passionate and as driven as for like school age programs. It's not so often you get people that are like, oh yeah, like it's great, it's important. But like when you're in it and you're like, yes, this is my passion. It's so exciting to be in the same conversation as that. But I agree. I think that educators have such an important role that we need to keep up lifelong learning. So professional development, whether or not it should be mandatory, it definitely should be looked at, and people should be taking it a little bit more seriously, because that's how we learn and stay current. And the world is changing so much all the time. Because if you think over the last 15 years, I've been in the sector for about 15 years as well. So much has changed. And then when we started learning back before 15 years, it was all theme-based. So things keep changing. So we have to stay current.
Well, and think of the safety of it, even as a baseline, right? So many things that you learn. 15 years ago, we weren't doing trauma-informed care. But post-COVID, right? Those are really important, right? Self-care, social-emotional literacy. If you don't grow, or even not even mandated to grow in any kind of way, you're going to get stuck in the old, and that can be dangerous.
Yeah, and we want to provide these programs for the children and resources for their families to help not only navigate what the children are going through right now in school, but also, that important mental health piece, and knowing the things that we know now that can be prevented or at least help manage throughout their lifetime starts with this foundation, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Wow. So as someone who has scaled a large organization, what's something about leadership in childcare that people don't talk enough about?
Ooh, you know what? I'm going to go back to that self-care piece almost. It is an emotionally draining task to be able to leadership in childcare, just like it is being an educator, but in different ways. right? And I think that's it's very demanding. It's not just managing people, it's the responsibility of liability, it's the responsibility of making sure that your team is getting what they need at all times.
Yes.
And then, making sure that those kiddos have absolutely everything they need in those opportunities, right? So a lot happens when an educator becomes a leader, and there's not enough training for that transition alone.
Amen.
Most times, you're an educator and you're a really great educator, and they're like, you know what, I want you to lead other people, but you don't have leadership skills, right? So a lot of time what we're doing in the sector is we're learning leadership skills as we're fumbling. We're great with kids.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I got into this sector.
Adults. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, yeah, I got into this sector because I was good with children. Put me in a room of kids, I am golden. Put me in a room of adults, and I've been a supervisor. And I'm like, wait. Is it snack time? Do you want snack? Will that make you happy? And then you can go back to work? No, that's not how this works.
And you know what? It's interesting, and as you say, like larger organization, like we got to the point where we were just over 100 employees, and the game changed for our company. It wasn't just about what we were doing for the kiddos. It was we had different responsibilities on an HR level. Things like that were really, really important that we had to learn, right? And there's not always people out there to coach those things. And I think that's kind of one of the barriers that we see in childcare. So many people get in and they open up childcare programs because they're passionate. They love what they do. They're great. They don't have a business sense, and they don't know where to learn that or have time to go back to school and do it while running a business. Right?
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Wow. And then on that same level, like you mentioned self-care, and it's so important because you're right. It's so taxing for leaders to manage all of those different things, to manage the people, to manage the children, to manage the businesses. Oh, and then by the way, you have to take care of yourself too. So good luck, because if you get burnt out, who's going to run the show?
Yeah, 100%. And those are things you learn kind of along the way. Any piece of advice that I can give is everything, just like we do with the kids, it's relationship based.
Yes.
Right? If you can build capacity in people by trusting them and giving them room to make mistakes safely, right? That's probably the best way to be able to grow. And I think that's where we're lucky at our organization. We've had a lot of people that have been with us for a very long time because we focus on that relationship with every individual. Our tagline at TOPP KIDS is play, grow, laugh, learn. And, like every single one of those words means something so powerful for us. But like that grow piece, like if you can invest not just in the kids, but in your team, right? And be able to focus on every level of leadership, having a relationship with every level down. You should never have a team member that's uncomfortable coming to talk to somebody for advice.
Yes.
Right. But building those relationships, they're hard. They're hard. And it takes sometimes just going for a coffee to be able to connect.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Giving them that time, right? That undivided attention, which is not always easy to do, especially if you are leading 100 staff, but also understanding that there can't be a disconnect, or there shouldn't be a huge disconnect between leadership and your frontline. Leadership should always know what your frontline staff are feeling or doing, or what's going on. Are you excited about this? Are you not excited about this? What are your worries? So what do you see as the biggest disconnect right now? And how do you work towards solving it? I mean, relationships is probably the key there, but what are you thinking?
Relationships is a big part of it, right? It's getting to know each other, but I think it's the walking a mile in each other's shoes, right?
Empathy. Yes. Seeing it. Yes.
Empathy. Yeah, 100%. Like educators are never going to know the breadth of what leadership or support need to do, or the point of view, right? So you got boots on the ground that are working in the program, and they see, all these issues that need to be fixed. And they're able to do that, but they rely on leaders to be able to do that. Leaders need to see the entire picture. Well, maybe it's not just your program that has somebody out today. I got 2 more programs that have somebody out, and I got to make sure that there's quality care in all of them, right? So I think even doing the job share piece where you can be with them, but work with, right? And really kind of connecting, and especially for leadership, the higher you go, the farther removed you get from the front line. And it's really important to go to programs, play, work with your team, because you can't develop a strong system without understanding every stage. And some of those roles you might not have never even done before. walk a mile in their shoes, and invite your educators to do the same. Because when they have perspective too, right, like it makes the whole system so much easier.
Yeah, it's really that transparency, right? Like being like, okay, listen, I understand I'm one person, so I'm looking at this and this and this, but I also value what you're doing on the floor. So I understand. But this is what I'm doing up here. Also, I'm not just sitting in an office figuring things out. I'm advocating for this, I'm doing this, and all of those great things that leaders put into it. I also speak from experience. I was a supervisor for 5.5 years, and it is, you try to be on the floor as much as possible, and you try to make sure that the children know you and the staff know you, and that you're there for them. But then also you're trying to do all the things that you have to do, that you're hired to do.
How many systems can you put in place?
Literally. But also, okay, so it's 10 o'clock because I spent all day in program helping and whatever, because that's what I like to do, is be with the kids, especially the before and after school kids. But now I actually have to do the stuff I was supposed to do while I was at work.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, I believe it. I don't want to keep you so long, but I love our conversation. So I just have a couple more questions. Sure. From an advocacy standpoint, what is one thing or one change our sector really needs right now?
We are an essential piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think what we really need is first identity before we can move forward to be able to change policy. That's going to take the individuals in every single province to be able to come together and make those connections.
Yes.
Right? And this is my call out. And I'll do the shameless plug. Like SACDA is open to working with absolutely anybody in every province.
That's incredible.
Like being able to make a continued conversation that's across the country is going to be so helpful, because policy isn't just made municipally or by the province, it's also federally. And if we need that voice to become federal, then we need a larger amount of people to do that. But yeah, like there's lots of little pieces. It's policy, it's education, it's training, funding, it's quality standards, the definition of what school age really is, after school programs or out of school time or out of school care. We got 100 names.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we're not just early learning. We stretch past that. And I think from an advocacy standpoint, making people understand what we do, not just being supervision before and after school.
Yes.
But impact making with the kids. And that's what I mean by identity. If we can't share that, people won't understand that, right? And we'll continue to have that less than professional view on ourselves. And that's it. If you're going to advocate for anything, advocate for the impact you make every single day.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree. I love your selfish plug, because it's not selfish at all. I think everyone should go and check it out, because it is so, so important. The Association in Alberta for School Age Educators. I know I didn't say that properly, but don't worry, I'll get you to plug it again at the end. But it is true. And I think you're definitely onto something. I think it needs to be a nationwide association. I think school age educators from each province have to get together and be like, listen, this is what we want to see for Canada. Because we do. We have to hit it from the top, because it's not going to change just one little thing. We have to be like, okay, we're coming together. If we can all make it work, the government can put it together and make it work.
Well, I think stage one of that is nobody ever knows where to look, right? Where do I connect with somebody? Find one other organization wherever you are that's like you, and just connect, and then make the commitment to connect again with somebody else. Like that's how community is built. And too many times people feel that it's, oh no, they're the competition. That's not the case. We're all here for the same things.
I'm clapping.
We have the same ideas, right? Like let's do this together. So
I am a huge, huge believer and advocate for that also. We, as educators, especially in the school age system, it's not us versus you. It's not each individual before and after school program versus another. We're all doing the same thing. We're all coming together and we're all making high quality care for the children. And it doesn't matter if a child goes to your center or my center. What matters is that they're being taken care of. And if we can cut that out, if we can stop hating on each other and being like, no, that's the competition, again, we'll go so much further with our avocation. You're absolutely right.
How great would it be if people shared policies?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like certain practices, or best, I hate the word best practices, but essentially that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Where I could just be like, Cody, oh my gosh, I have this thing that's happening in my center. Have you ever had that? What did you do here? And then you talk, this is our resources. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you walked into a typical before and after school program tomorrow, what is one thing that you would change immediately?
You know, we're in a transition right now in Alberta, especially. We're moving from exactly what you said, that theme based, to
Yes.
more pedagogy and that. And I think right now what's happening is too many programs, they've built their program around control. It's group
Yes.
control. It's saying, you know, we're doing this now, or like this is the time now. And I'll be honest, you know, like in the years making, that's kind of how we started too. Right?
Yep.
But understanding that your program is a community for these kids to live and thrive, you need to focus on what they want to learn and help build that. So I think it's walking into the average program, showing them that they don't need absolute control over every part. Routine is important.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
And extremely helpful, right? But being a little more open-minded, right? Seeing what's out there. I know favorite part of my growth is being able to travel around, right? Around like North America and seeing what other programs are doing. We go to a conference down in the States every year. It's called the Beyond School Hours Conference.
Yes.
Believe it or not, there's thousands of educators that are in school-age care together, really focusing on the same work, right? We don't have that here in Canada. SACDA hosts, you know, Canada's biggest conference for school age, right? And it's traditionally been in Alberta. That's essentially what I do is I go down and I scoop people up and I try to bring them up. But there's so much knowledge here in Canada too. I think that's the biggest thing is be open-minded, find the things that are working for other people. If you're talking about quality, don't stop. It's not a destination, it's a journey, you know, continue to grow.
Yes, absolutely. A couple of things I want to touch on. Yes, I know Ontario did a really great job of getting away, I'll say that loosely, from theme-based and going into following pedagogy and interest. But then they still have this rigid structure, and all of our camps and PD days are still themed. And like I just started a summer camp program, and the same thing. Families are looking for these themed weeks, and you just can't get away from it. You're like, I know you want a theme, anyways. But the point is, I agree with your routines. Routines are so important, but flexibility within those routines. We can have snack when you first arrive, and then you can go outside, but our snack doesn't have to end right at 9:00 and we have to be outside at 9:05. There should be some kind of flow to it, and we follow the children's interests and leads where it goes. And if they want to spend a little bit longer eating, maybe they're having a really great conversation, maybe they're really enjoying their snack, we should be able to do that. Or if they want to be outside right away, why can't we bring snack outside and do that? I think that's so important. And then, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to jump in there.
Yeah.
The whole theme conversation, the easiest segue that I've seen programs kind of understand for moving away from it is don't think theme, think project-based learning. So what's your project for that week? And then it's so much more open and they build off of it.
You're so right. You're so right. And I love projects with children. I think it's so great. And yes, when Cody and I first met, for a little bit of background story, Cody talked to me about the what's it called? The one in
SACDA, the School Age Care Directors Association?
No, the one that you went to, the conference that you went to.
Oh, the Beyond School Hours conference.
Beyond School Hours. So right away I looked it up, but it was way too fast to jump in and join that train. But it is incredible. So anyone who's listening and hasn't heard of this, because I did not hear about this until I talked with Cody, it is so cool. And it is people like us that are super proud of being school age. So all of the people listening to this podcast, go check it out. And check out the Alberta School Age Conference, because it is also freaking incredible. And again, I had no idea these existed until this year, and I started talking to Cody.
Well, thank you for the plug. Yeah, that's awesome. We're inviting the entire country. Come on down.
See, we'll be there. Okay, I'm talking on behalf of the entire country. We'll all be there. Last, what is a belief in our field that you strongly disagree with?
Older children need less care.
Oh,
right. It's not less care. It's different. It's different relationships. Again, it's not the things that you're typically taught while you're doing your ECE education, right? These kids need relationships on a different level. And oftentimes when they're getting to that grade 6, 5, 6, 7, however far school age goes for you in your province, this is the time that they rely on the influence of friends more than they do family. And I think that's when we have the biggest opportunity to connect with them on a mentor level as well, because we're not the parents, but we still we're in that circle of care. So, I've seen programs that are almost afraid of the older kids because
Yes.
they don't know what to do. Get them involved in the community. Period. There you go. Full stop. Build citizenship. If you can just get them in the community, partner with organizations in the community, the old folks' homes, the businesses, like this is the world they're stepping into. And if they don't know it or if they're not prepared for it, what's going to happen? So prepare them for it.
Yes, I agree. It's just a different relationship we're opening up, but they're still relationship based. They still need that person that they can talk to. They still need to know that they're cared about and that there's people rooting for them because we are. That's what we're doing. We believe in them, and they need to know that there's people out there that believe in them.
Well, can you imagine the confidence that would come out of every child if they had just that champion behind them, right? And they knew it.
Absolutely. Cody, anything that we didn't touch on that you want to share or talk about or say?
I think what's great about your podcast is you're getting out to ECs and to leaders in the sector, and I love that. We need more of you. We need more voice, right? I think if anything, don't feel siloed, right? There's community here. And that's what we're building, is we're building a community so we can have a larger voice, so we can make sure these kids are taken care of. So I can leave on anything. It's exactly that. Connect, right? Amazing.
And if anyone wanted to connect with you, how would they find you?
Yeah, so they can either look up TOPP KIDS, it's with 2 P's, TOPP. Email straight through there, you totally can. You can do it through SACDA, the School Age Care Directors Association of Alberta. It's a long one, but SACDA. They can connect with me there too.
Incredible. And I will have those in our show notes so that people can just link right there, because I'm sure there'll be people that have questions and be as amazed as I was when I found out about all these great things that you know.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for taking the time to be on. And thank you, listeners, for listening again. Cody, have a great day. And same with everyone else. Happy learning. And till next time. Thank you, amazing listeners, for your support. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at MissJamie_RECE. Give a star rating and leave a review. Have something you want to hear about in relation to before and after school programs or full day summer camp? DM me or comment. Again, thank you so much and happy learning.